Breaking news just in. We're here in New York City. Shaun Al-Shatti, Danny Segura, I'm Marc Raimondi. It just came down today that Jon Jones has been suspended 1 year in his USADA doping case. It was a decision put forth by 3 arbitrators in the case. Jones's hearing was last Monday in Los Angeles. It was a 10.5-hour marathon arbitration, and it came back that Jon Jones was at fault, not necessarily a drug cheat, but there was negligence in what he took, even if it was not knowingly. The arbitrator said that he was at fault even so. Shaun, this is obviously a big deal in the MMA community. Jon Jones is arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter of all time. What is your immediate reaction to this news that came down today?
My immediate reaction is that this was obviously, this is basically worst case scenario for Jon. He had the maximum punishment he could get because of the nuances of his case was 1 year. And he got that year, but he not only got that year, but he spent extra money to go to arbitration. It became a bigger story because he was fighting it, and all along the way, there's been little signs of, this is going to be a positive thing, this is going to be a positive thing. And in the end, it's the worst possible scenario. And now it could get even worse because the Nevada Athletic Commission, those wonderful, reasonable people, still have a chance to weigh in. And, I mean, they could give him a 2-year suspension on top of it, which would, part of that would be concurrently, but part of that would be another year on top. So, I mean, nobody knows at this point. We might not see Jon Jones for several years at this point. And it couldn't have come at a worst possible time. I mean, this is the beginning of UFC 205 Fight Week. We're all in New York. All of the media is in New York. This is a big spectacle event. And now this entire week, every outlet that talks about UFC is inevitably going to be talking about the potential GOAT in the UFC, the greatest of all time, now dealing with the next line of his, troubles. And the way that the USADA arbitrators kind of announced this just kind of twisted the knife in a little bit further with, I mean, this is the only professional capacity I'll ever be able to say the phrase dick pills. But throwing that Jon Jones said that it was dick pills in their argument for why this should be it. I mean, they really just twisted the knife on him. It is not good for him right now.
So basically what Jon Jones' defense was that he took a form of Cialis.
Yes.
You said a dick pill, a sexual performance pill. He took it from a teammate, and the arbitrator said that he didn't do enough. He didn't do his due diligence to find out if this pill, this tablet, complied with the UFC's anti-doping policy. It wasn't so much that he knowingly was taking a steroid or a performance-enhancing drug. It was that he didn't do enough due diligence, and he basically just said, according to the arbitrators, according to, I guess, Jon's defense, was that all he did was ask his teammate, does this help sexual performance? And that was really the extent of the diligence that he put in. Is this a fair suspension, do you think? Because we've seen tainted supplement suspensions for Tim Means and Yoel Romero for 6 months. Is this fair, do you think, for Jon Jones? 1 year?
I think so, 100%. If you look at the cases with Yoel Romero and Tim Means, these guys were taking actual products that had a label that you could read what was in it, and what they popped wasn't in it. Jon Jones was just like, well, does this work? And, he took the dick pills. And, he didn't really ask many questions. It was very reckless, what the commission, what the USADA arbitrator said. So, yeah, I definitely think, he has some sense of responsibility for taking that. And, that's what happens.
Very quickly, before we wrap up here, it's been a crazy ride for Jon Jones. Obviously, he's still possibly the best pound-for-pound fighter to ever compete in the octagon. What is his legacy right now today?
That's rough because, if you were to mention Jon Jones, the first thing that comes up to my mind is, the best fighter on the planet. But now, that was a few months ago, maybe a year ago. Now if you say that, the first thing that comes up to my head is all these troubles that he's been going through. And I feel like that's overshadowing his career. And really, he remains a tragedy in MMA because a fighter with so much potential that really could have gone on an crazy winning streak and maybe undefeated, if we don't count the Matt Hamill loss, for all his career and just destroyed a bunch of people. But now, we're not going to see that, obviously, because he's suspended for some time. I definitely do think this is a huge blow. And, it's just one thing after another. And I think, it's just not looking good for Jon Jones.
And you have Shaun, what do you think Jon Jones' legacy is today, right now?
It's tough because you have to think that at this point, I mean, again, we don't know what Nevada's going to say, but at this point, he basically missed all of 2015. He fought once in 2016, and that was even a weird situation. And he's not going to fight. He's probably not going to be able to fight in most of 2017 and maybe even into 2018. These are precious years of this legendary fighter's prime. and we're just not even going to see anything. It's all being wasted on the sidelines on these weird situations that no one else keeps finding themselves in. He finds himself in this trouble, in ways that nobody else really does, and it really just taints the legacy of someone who should be an icon in our sport. And now you just think of Jon Jones, and you just think of these endless personal problems. We heard this when he first became champion, that the only man that may defeat Jon Jones is Jon Jones, and it truly seems to be coming to light, and that is very sad.
We'll have plenty more.
I also want to point out, not only is he missing his prime, but he's also kind of missing the prime of the UFC right now. The ceiling for the fighters to make, money and all the spotlights on the UFC and MMA is really hot right now, and he's missing out on that as well.
We'll have plenty more on this, as well as tons of stuff for UFC 205 coming up. For Danny, for Shaun, I'm Marc. We'll see you guys soon.